You know what I love about the book of Jonah? It's basically a divine comedy. And I mean that literally God pulls off what might be the greatest practical joke in the entire Bible. But to appreciate the punchline, we need to understand just how ridiculous Jonah was being. Picture this. Jonah has just survived the worst business trip in human history. God told him to go preach to Nineveh, the ancient world's capital of cruelty and violence. Jonah said absolutely not and literally ran in the opposite direction. God sent a storm, Jonah got tossed overboard, swallowed by a giant fish. Spent 3 days in what can only be described as the world's worst hotel room, got vomited onto a beach, and then finally went to Nineveh. And here's the kicker. His preaching worked. The entire city repented, from the king down to the livestock. Everything in Nineveh was covered in sackcloth and ashes. This was the evangelistic success story of the century. Jonah should be throwing a party, writing his testimony, starting a preaching ministry. But what does Jonah do? He throws an absolute fit. He moshes outside the city, sits down, and pouts like a toddler whose sibling got a bigger piece of cake. He's actually angry that God showed mercy. He tells God, "This is exactly why I ran away in the first place. I knew you were going to forgive them." Think about that. Jonah is mad that his preaching worked. He's upset that thousands of people won't be destroyed. He wanted fire and brimstone, judgment and devastation. He wanted front row seats to divine justice, and instead he got a revival meeting. Now, God could have done a lot of things here. He could have thundered from heaven with a rebuke. He could have sent Jonah back to the fish for a remedial course in compassion. He could have struck him with lightning. But God does something far more interesting. He plays a joke. First, he grows a plant, a nice leafy shrub that provides shade for Jonah's sulking session. And Jonah loves this plant. The Bible says he was very happy about the shrub. Finally, something is going his way. He's got his shade, he's comfortable, and he can sit here and be angry in climate-controlled comfort. Then, the next morning, God sends a worm. One little worm. It attacks the shrub, and the plant dies. The sun beats down, a scorching wind blows, and Jonah is miserable again. And predictably, Jonah has another meltdown. He tells God he's so angry about this plant that he wants to die. And here, where God delivers the punchline. You cared about a plant that you didn't grow, that appeared overnight and died overnight. Shouldn't I care about Nineveh? A great city with more than 120,000 people who don't know their right hand from their left. Plus all those animals. It's brilliant. God uses one small plant to expose the absurdity of Jonah's entire attitude. You're ready to die over a shrub, but you can't understand why it'd save 120,000 people. You mourn for vegetation, but not for humanity. And that's where the book ends. We never get Jonah's response. We don't know if he ever got the joke, if he ever understood what God was showing him. The Bible just leaves him there, sitting in his discomfort, confronted with his own ridiculous priorities. Because here's the thing, God's sense of humor isn't just about making us laugh. It's about holding up a mirror. Sometimes the best way to show someone how absurd they re being is to let them experience their own. Logic taken to its natural conclusion. Jonah wanted everything on his terms, even God's mercy. So God gave him something small to care about, then took it away and said, "Now you understand what it feels like to lose something you value." That's how I feel about these people you want destroyed. The joke wasn't cruel. It was compassionate. It was an invitation for Jonah to see things from God's perspective, to expand his heart beyond his own comfort and preferences. God wasn't mocking Jonah. He was teaching him in the most memorable way possible that divine compassion is bigger than human prejudice, that grace is more important than being right, and that sometimes we care more about our own comfort than we do about the souls of others. Of course, Jonah never did get that joke, but maybe we can.